Okay guys, so welcome back to another module of this course. In this specifically module, we are going to be going over support and resistance. Okay, support and resistance is very important in the market. You have to be able to identify support and resistance in order for you to identify the key levels that price might go up towards to or may come down towards to. Okay, so I'm gonna help you guys identify in the most basic way how to identify support and resistance. All right, so we are going to be going over to TradingView. Like I said, TradingView is going to be the app where you are going to be making all of your market analysis and basically spending most of the time tracking your trade, placing your entry, doing technical analysis, or even backtesting. Doesn't really matter. So I'm gonna go over and explain it as far and as easy as I can in order for you to identify support and resistance. Support is going to be the bottom of something. It's going to be the base, the fundamental of something. The base, you can think of it as the floor of a house. Resistance as the roof of that house. Okay, I'm going to explain to you why. If we go to the daily time frame, I'm going to be looking for my support. My support is, again, the fundamental of everything. It's going to be the fundamental of price action, where price usually tends to go up against or retrace from. Okay, the most easiest way to identify support is looking for pricing specifically where price tends to react a lot of times off of, or it tends to touch a lot of times. For example, I would identify this as a support because, as you guys can see, price has come to this point level and is actually going up against, meaning that once price reaches this level, it usually tends to go all the way up to the next resistance, which is what I'm going to be looking for right now. This is going to be called as the floor of the house, which is support, and resistance is going to be the roof of that house, which is going to be where the most number of touches happen within that same area. That's resistance. That's how you identify resistance. You are going to be identifying resistance where most of the touches happen within the same range. Because if I were to look at this little wicks right here as resistance, and I were to move my resistance from here all the way back here, that could be considered resistance. But what happens when price gets to this point and instead of going all the way up, it retraces, and it does it one more time right here, and instead of going all the way up, it retraces. Why? Because there is another resistance right there, and I'm going to help you guys identify all of that. Whenever you see a price point where a lot of touches in the market happens, and it usually tends to give a direction either to the opposite side or towards the same side, that price actually touches a lot of times, that's when the resistance is made, or support. Because resistance can always be broken up to and become a support. Use it as a support up to the next resistance, which is what I'm going to be explaining in a couple of minutes. Okay, why is it important for us as a trader to identify support and resistance? Because usually when we are at a resistance key level or a support key level, what price tends to do is usually go from support to resistance and bounce back up and on. Okay, so think about it like this. We are right here in this key level, and I'm gonna look for a tool that I can help you identify with, like this point right here. Okay, we are at a support key level because we have a lot of touches in the market, and a lot of touches could only mean that a lot of wicks or a lot of consolidation areas have happened within the same range of that pinpoint or price range. Okay, so that's what makes it a support valid. That's what makes it a valid support, because a lot of times the market has happened to touch this price point before, and that's why it's a valid support, right? So we are in the support area right here. So usually when we are at a support area right here, price tends to either do two things: respect the resistance and come back to the next support level, or break the resistance and go up to the next resistance level, which is right here. Okay, this is a floor. What happens after we go over the roof and we use it as another floor? We go up to the second floor, which is right here, the next resistance. What happens after we after we break that roof and we use it as a floor? We go up to the next roof, which is this third resistance right here. Okay, what happens if price would have never broken up and it would have respected the resistance? It takes to respect it, and it tends to come all the way back down up to the support level, which is exactly what happened here. Price was at a support level right here because there were a lot of touches. We have one touch, second touch, three touches, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It went up to this next resistance, and this is the perfect example. This is the perfect example. We went over, it came back and retested the same price, which has already been retested a lot of times, as you guys can see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And use it as a support because it broke above. And then what's going to happen after? It's going to go up to the next resistance, which is right here. Okay, this is exactly what I'm trying to make you guys understand. You can use this to find direction in the market just by looking up to the support and resistance of the market. Okay, so I want you guys to practice a lot. Go into TradingView and start looking for roofs and floors of a house, which is support and resistance. I want you guys to get that analogy into your head because it's gonna make it way much easier. So I'm gonna go back to where I was talking about. Whenever we broke support or we respected resistance, whenever we broke resistance, we usually tend to look for buys because it means that another resistance is meant probably to be creative. In this case, in this scenario, exactly this scenario, what happened with price is we went from a support key level, which is this one right here. It went up, it broke above, it came back to retest, and what was the next thing that happened? It went up to the next resistance level, which was created like around this price point right here. Okay, so what happens after we get to that key level but price does not breaks it, or if it breaks it but it doesn't retest it? Because for it to be broken above and have a potential creation of another resistance, it has to be retested into the same area. And if it doesn't retest it, it means that it could be liquidity and it could go up to the next support area, which is this one right here, which is exactly what happened. Okay, and I'm gonna explain to you exactly why is that. Okay, and like I said, we were in a support right here. We broke above, came back and retested. We broke above, came back and retested. We went all the way up to the next resistance. We touched, we broke above, but we didn't retest it. So we came all the way back down, and we came all the way back up to retest the resistance, and that only meant that price was going to support resistance. So what happens after you throw a ball into the floor and it goes right back on the roof and it comes back down to the floor? That's exactly what happens with price. After it didn't broke above and it respected resistance, it respected the roof of the house, it comes right back to the support line, which is the floor. The only reason why I could have thought otherwise of this trend in the market is if I would have seen the price do this, retest, and give me another confirmation that the price was going to break, which is a retest. But since it didn't do that, it clearly gave me signs that there was going to be an upcoming sell-off in the market, which is exactly what happened here. And where's another explanation of this? Right here. We see that there was a support and there was a resistance. What happens when we went from a support to a resistance? We consolidated a little bit, we retested the zone, and what happens after? Boom, we went up. Why? Because price broke above and did a lot of retesting. After the retested is respected, it uses the resistance as a support key level, and then it goes back to creating another resistance. That's exactly what happens in the market. So what happens if we were up to this resistance and we didn't retest it? So it was going to be a sell-off. Okay, so we are going to go right here on the left hand side and we are going to be short shorting this thing, we're going to close, we are going to use short position. Our stop loss is going to be where the price broke above, like a little bit up, like a little bit above it, and the next target is going to be support. Why? Because if you throw a ball up in the roof and it touches the roof and it doesn't break it, it's gotta come back down, which is exactly what happened here in the market. Okay, so what happens after you threw that ball up to the roof and it went back to the floor? What happens next? What happens next is gotta come right back up, and it's exactly what happens. This is why it's very important to know to identify support and resistance, because it's always doing the same thing. Okay, so in another area, which is right here, I'm gonna give you another example, another perfect example of breaking resistance. As you guys can see, we are in this consolidation zone for quite some time. We were touching resistance, respecting resistance, and coming back to support. Coming back to support, respecting support, and going back up to resistance. Resistance, support, resistance, support. But what happens after price decides to break above either resistance or support? There has to be a retest, correct? Okay, so what we're going to be looking for now is we are going to be looking for a retest in the market. Either it could be breaking support, retesting, and coming all the way back down, or breaking resistance, breaking above, retesting, and going all the way back up. Okay, so in this case is the perfect example of what happens when price breaks above resistance. At this point, we had a huge candle right here, which went way too much up to the passing resistance. But what happened after? It came right back up to retest the resistance key level. So what happens after there is a clear reset after price broke above? What happens? That another resistance is going to be created, which is exactly right here. What happened? So what I would have done is I would have called in a long position, a buy, because I knew that at this point we had a huge candle. We had a huge candle that broke above our support key level, and it came back down to retest the same price, but it didn't go any farther than this key level, which and in that case, what I would have done, I would have taken a trade right here. My stop loss would have been like a little bit right under the next key levels right here, which are these right here. I'm gonna show you guys. My stop loss would have been a little bit under these, and my take profit would have been up to where the next resistance might be created, which is right here. Okay, so this is what I would have expected after we broke resistance. This is what is very important for you guys to understand, how to identify support and resistance, because it's a repetitive pattern that always happens in the market. So going back to all this consolidation area, we broke up resistance, we broke above, we came back to retest, we took our entry right here, and look what happened. Boom, another resistance was created. Okay, so what happens after price broke, after price had a retracement like around this key level right here, another support was created right here, because there is a lot of touches right here. So this is identified as support. Why is that? Because we have a lot of touches. We have one touch, second touch, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All those candles were touching the same price range that we are identifying as support. So that is counted as a valid support. If we were to like actually be trading in real life this right now, I would honestly be in a long position. I would have taken it right after we broke above this key level right here, and this would be my stop loss, and I would aim for a little bit right here. So this is what basically This is what basically matters when you are trading support and resistance, is that it helps you identify key levels of what the market could actually go towards to, and it does it gives you a clear data of what you can do and how you can trade support and resistance. Just by knowing how to trade support and resistance, you can actually become a profitable trader. There's a lot of traders that trade support and resistance just like this, because patterns are replicable. Whenever you are finished with these lessons, just go back to TradingView and start identifying all these key levels, and trust me, this is gonna be really helpful whenever you are day trading in the market. Okay, so thank you guys for watching, and see you guys in the next module. Bye.